If you guys have been listening to me, you know I obsess on certain approaches, a mindset. Mindset matters. You got to win this battle from the neck up, from the shoulders up, right? You're not going to win this battle of building wealth and opportunity to move from the streets to the suites by fighting with your hands and stomping with your feet and being angry for a living. That's not going to work. There's a place and a time for everything. It's time to put that stuff aside. What do you hear from me when I talk, right? I say, and again, I came from the hood, DA-HOOD. I was so poor. My family at least was so poor at one point. My mom's family, they couldn't pay for the OR. They were just PO. And I lived in a severely underserved area neighborhood. My mother, Juanita Smith, my brother Donnie, Dave Donnell Harris, my sister Mara Lamont Hoskins, and she's remarried now. Has a new married name, um, and but all of us, these kids, got through the hood, South Central and Compton. All those kids, no criminal records, no drama, and we had a single mother. Right? It's mindset. You heard me say again. I've gone from the bottom quartile to what they call the top 1%. You've heard me say I take no for vitamins. If you're sharing this podcast with others, tell them to go to minute 19, 47 seconds and start from there. They have short periods of time. And then I want you to sit down with your family, sit down with your children and walk them through this. Sit down with your partner, your mate, your husband, your wife, your business partners. Sit down with your posse, your crew, folks you hang around, and listen to this together. Have a conversation. Let's talk about something that's meaningful for a change. I take no for vitamins. That's me. Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. That's me. It's okay if you don't like me. I like me. As Quincy Jones says, not 1 ounce of my self esteem depends on your acceptance of me. That's me. I'd rather you. I'd rather you respect me and learn to like me than like me and never respect me. That's me. There is a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is economic. Being poor is a disabling frame of mind, a depressed condition of your spirit, and you must vow never, ever, ever to be poor again. That is the ethos of Operation Hope, the organization I founded 32 years ago, which is impacting millions of lives, invested 4.5 billion dollars in capital in underserved neighborhoods for home ownership, small business ownership, creation, home, ownership creation, access to capital, etc. Raising credit scores, lowering debt, increasing savings, increasing our economic and our mental and social frequency, as my wife would say, high frequency thinking, getting us to lift our shoulders back and our heads up. And as Dr. King once said, no man can ride your back if you stand straight up. This is mindset. Mindset matters. Life is 10% what life does to you and 90% how you choose to respond to it. What's your response going to be? That's what I write in my book, Love Leadership. That was my second book. I'm on to my sixth. I want you to get the Financial Literacy for All book, which is number one right now nationwide. It's been for that way for 3 months on Amazon in business finance and economics. Number one, go get it. And I want you to mark it up, underline it. I want you to pull out a Sharpie pen. I want it to be dog-eared because you're going through it and you're marking it up like a workbook and talking about it with don't read it and put it aside. Most people have read it a couple of times, I've been told. It's got a great rating on Amazon. Look at it for yourself. Read what people are saying about it. But let this be a workbook for the rest for the playoff games of the rest of your life. If you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. You heard me say that earlier. That's me. You model what you see. Why do kids want to be rap stars, athletes, and drug dealers? The kids aren't dumb and they're not stupid. They're brilliant, but they're modeling what they see. We got to give those kids something different to see. The book, the Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point, bestseller, says, based on a University of Illinois study, 5% positive role models every community stabilizes. Think about that. Not 80% positive role models, not 50%, not 25%, not 15%, just 5. With 5% positive role models in your community and around you, every community stabilizes. That's how powerful God is. That's how powerful love is. Love is the only energy that's self-renewing, the only thing that does not need any help because it comes directly from God. Darkness is defined by light, not the other way around. Badness is failed goodness. The devil is a punk. I said it. Mindset matters. The devil is a punk. The devil is a fallen angel. God gives the devil permission to exist. Can I get an amen? Yeah, this is my ministry of hope. This is my ministry of finance, and I'm going all in right now. Badness is failed goodness, right? You're not a mistake. You just made a mistake. We're all angels with dirty faces, right? So let's let's get up and claim our glory. You've heard me say that you cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. It's not just a nice analog. It's not a nice statement that I say. It's also a scientific fact. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. Let's get into now the deeps, the depths, the serious around mindset. And I'm gonna give you some cheat sheet notes on this before we get finished with this podcast and your drive or walk or jog or workout or whatever it is you're doing while you're listening to this. It's bite size. You can get your hands around it, get your mind around it, get your spirit around it, because we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and energy matters. Mindset matters. As Carolyn Young, Dr. Ambassador Andrew Young's beautiful wife, would tell me when somebody is trying to diss her in public or in private. Typically, they try and do it in public because they're too afraid to come straight at her, because punks hide, cowards hide, they throw rocks and hide. But on occasion, when she hears something that sounds crazy, Carolyn will say, "You can't piss on my head and call it rain." And she smiles at you and just gives you more love. She just beats you up with love. That's all I'm built of. That's all I know, because you can't go wrong doing right. My father was on his way to Detroit to get a new car from South Central LA. He had family in East St. Louis, and he took the detour to go to East St. Louis. Back in the day, I'm told, back in the 50s and the 60s, black people who could buy a brand new Buick or Cadillac or whatever it was a mark of distinction to be able to walk in the dealership and buy a car, or just to have one. But some people, to underscore their achievement, they I don't get this, by the way, but it's a thing, and my dad did it. But somebody can explain it to me. That's cool. But it was not just good enough to go to the car dealership and have the white car dealer rep to sell your car. My dad wanted to go to the factory and buy his new car, trade in his older car and buy. I guess it was the dealership at the factory. I don't know. Anyway, he would drive to Detroit to buy a new car, and on the way, he detoured to where my mother um, lived, East St. Louis, where he had family. And mindset, he was present enough of mind to realize he had met brilliance and elegance and somebody who would add to his life, and realized at that moment they're better together. And he married her. He asked her. He said, "I'm going to go back. I'm not going to Detroit. I'm going to turn around. I want to take you. Want to marry you." She said, "Well, you got to take me and my two children. It was my brother and my I wasn't born yet. My brother and my sister." And she was being abused by her then husband, and she had a premonition that if she could get 2,000 miles away, a premonition from God, that would be her beacon, her signal of a new life. If she can get 2,000 miles away, didn't know where. And it just so happened that Los Angeles was about 2,000 miles away. So she thought this was a message from God and said yes to my dad. And they packed up my brother, my sister, and my dad, God bless him, took my sister and my brother as if they were his own. They drove all the way back with all the furniture and they could pack and luggage on the top of the car back to Los Angeles. And I was born not a not a very much not a much longer time from then at Good Samaritan Hospital. Can't make this up, in downtown LA. Good Samaritan Hospital. I was born there, and they made a life. Now that worked until it didn't. And you should never make an emotional decision. Wherever you make an emotional decision, it's going to be a bad one. And my dad, my sister, my mother, and my father built a gas station that they owned, and they owned a gas station in Normandy and Vernon. For anybody who knows LA, listening to this in LA, you know what I'm talking about. It's still there. They owned an 8-unit apartment building on Martin Luther King Boulevard. It was called Santa Barbara Boulevard back then. They bought it for $18,000. You can listen to an earlier podcast as I go into deep details there. They bought a lot of stuff, owned their own home. Anyway, they lost it all because my dad could make it but couldn't keep it. He was brilliant and hardworking, but not financially literate, and would not ask my mother for help. He didn't realize that they were partnership and not just a romantic connection, and he could make it. He should let her invest it. In fact, I'm gonna do a whole podcast just on how a family builds wealth. The short cheat sheet right now, Mindset Matters, is one person should make it, the other person, if there's two people working, one person makes the money for a living and the other one makes money for a life. The first person makes money and pays their bills. Second person makes the money and invests it. There's a couple called the Kinsey family, Bernard and Shirley Kinsey in Los Angeles. He worked for Xerox. I forget where she worked, but it was a regular job as I remember. And they lived off of one salary. I forget which one. They invested the other salary, and today they have a beach house overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Pacific, Pacific Palisades or Marina Del Rey or something like that. But just along the coast, they have an art exhibit and art collection, and they're living their best life. Um, and so I'm telling you what works. This is a black couple. So my father made a mistake, and he took the $4,000 that my mother had saved to send my brother to a college of his choice. Listen to the podcast I did on that, so I don't have to repeat it and waste time here. And my mother said, "That's it. You're not doing that to the rest of my kids. That's my oldest child. You just robbed him of his ability to go to a college of his choice and make the decisions that he wants, my brother Donnie. And you're not doing that to Monty and Johnny." Okay, I just told you one. My nickname was John. And no, you don't say that to me in an airport. That was what my mother called me. My sister called me. Brother called me. So she stepped. She said, "I'm out. I love you, but I'm done." And mindset. My mother was very focused on building, right? And if you look at the history of marriage, it's not a romantic history that came later. It wasn't religious history that came before romantic, but it came after business. Originally, marriage was just a business arrangement going back thousands of years before God endowed it, in my opinion. I'm saying that God endowed it with certain features that gave it spiritual dimensions, Jesus Christ and so on and so forth, the Bible. So you do and I did a whole piece on marriage. Go listen to that podcast, right? By the way, I'm not saying something's better or worse. Don't start getting all alone to me and getting Holy Ghost. I'm just telling you that was the timeline. That marriage was, made of man. Then God endowed it, right? And then we put romance on it. And now all we think about today is what the romantic part of it. Well, the looks are gonna fall away, people. All right. I don't want to get into a lot of detail here, but all that stuff will drop. And now you're left with the substance of the person, right? And what do you got? What do you got? What do you have? Is that your business partner, and are you better together? It's a question. Okay. So my mother left my dad. My dad found my mother, good decision, mindset. He lost my mother, bad decision, emotions, ego. Ambassador Andrew Young says that men and women fail for 3 reasons: arrogance, pride, and greed. My mother left my dad and discovered her calling, raising these children, and all of them have emerged as successes in this world in different ways. And I thank my dad for what he gave, but he missed the software upgrade along the way, the human software upgrade. Okay, let me get into a deep one here. My friend Mike Maples, this is very deep. This is the very definition of mindset. My friend Mike Maples is a big venture capitalist in Silicon Valley. And I asked Mike Maples, a very nice guy. He's on the board of advisors for Operation Hope. I asked him, "How did you become who you are? How did you become so decent, so nice?" It's one of the questions I ask people occasionally when I really like them, and they are got power and money, and they could be jerks, but choose not to be. And he said it was where I was raised. I said, "Well, tell me about your family." He said, "Well, my mother was the house homemaker, so on and so forth, and loved me and supported me. My dad worked for Microsoft." And I said, "Okay, well, what do you do for Microsoft?" Well, he said he works for, he worked for Bill Gates. I said, "Well, technically, everybody works for Bill Gates." Okay. What did he do? Like, was he 15 levels below? Was he on a loading dock? What did he do? At Microsoft? He says, "Well, he ran products." Well, what do you mean he ran it? Well, he was the president of the product division. Oh, so he really worked for Bill Gates, like literally. Yes, he's a very humble guy. So I said, "Okay, well, for that kind of achievement, that's a special mind. It's a special brain. It's a special mindset. So you're no accident how you got here. Success is intentional. Failure is too, by the way. Tell me an example of how your dad thought. Now, please, everybody, listen to this. This is so deep. He said, well, one example is I had this business and I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old with this business. And I grew this business and it was very successful. And I don't remember exactly what the business is. It's not really all that important. But I grew this business, and let's just say for the sake of conversation, it was a gaming business. I grew this business as a young man, and I was selling whatever, and people were buying it, and I was very successful. I'm 12 years old, and I go to my dad, very excited, and say, "Dad, Dad, Dad, um, I'm going to sell my company to Disney." And Dad was disappointed. Now, let's stop here and be honest. If your child came to you and said they want to start a business, would you be impressed? Yes. They wanna grow the business, they stuck with it. Yes, it was successful and profitable at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. You'd be impressed, right? Yes. If your child came to you, let's be honest now. Your child came to you and said, "I'm gonna sell this company to Disney." Wouldn't you just be cheering and take them to Chick-fil-A or, whatever that I'm trying to think of all the kids' places. Stop laughing at me. I see you guys laughing. TGI Fridays or I can't say Red Lobster. They're gone. Um, Chuck E. Cheese, that's what I was thinking about. You'd be excited, right? Mike's dad was pissed, upset. We don't think like that in this family. I'm disappointed in you, Mike Jr. Don't you ever come to me with mess like that. That's not how I raised you. That's not how I built you. We don't raise children around here to sell their company to Disney. We raise children around here to use their company to buy Disney. Just wrecked your car. Just fell off your bike. Just walked off the walking trail into a wall. I apologize, but that was a drop the mic. That man so shaped Mike Maple's expectation. He is one of the top 10 tech venture capitalists in the country. Certainly one of the top 10 in the Silicon Valley. Don't trust me. Search his name yourself. Unbelievable. That's not accidental. That's intentional. He's now funding businesses, buying businesses, building businesses, but nobody's buying him. Success is intentional. Mindset matters. I've already covered emotional decision making. Now let me talk about something that's very specific. I want you to write this down. It's from my book. I want you to go get Financial Literacy for All, my most recent book. That's number one. I think financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. But I want you now to focus on from my book, Up From Nothing, which was the book before this one. And the book before this one was called The Memo. And the book before that one is The Memo is everything no one taught you about how success really works. The book before that one is How the Poor Can Save Capitalism. I could bring that book to forward today and attach it to the DE and I debate. By the way, you'll be hearing more from me about that in the future because I think that people who are attacking DE and I are just wrong on the facts. The book before that was Love Leadership. The book before that was Banking on Our Future, my first book. Three of those books are national bestsellers. This last one is the biggest bestseller. Debuted on USA Today bestseller list, number one in nonfiction, number 12 overall, but Publishers Weekly, number one in nonfiction, number 9 overall, and retains itself as number one in business finance on Amazon. Go get it. Now, here are the 5 pillars of success. Number one, massive education. As much education you shove down your throat. That was a President Johnson quote. Go get as much education as you can shove down your throat. You can never be smart enough. But once you have education, no one can take it from you. Now, when I mention these 5 pillars, think now, none of this has anything to do with money. I'm talking about building wealth now. I'm talking about you becoming not just rich, not just doing well, not just successful financially. I'm talking about building generational wealth that lasts wealth beyond your generation into the next one. I'm talking about what it takes. It takes the right mindset. 70% of all those who finish their NBA contracts, um, about 70% are bankrupt, financially broke in 5 years. Uh, and 70%, 60, 70% of those in the NFL and NBA are bankrupt within 5 years. Um, and worse in the NFL, and you go back and read my podcast I did on the NFL, by the way. Worse with the NFL, that contract, and I love the NFL. I have a partnership with the NFL, my friend Roger Goodell, et cetera, et cetera. I'm all good. And we have a partnership with them at Operation Hope. But that contract may be at 50 million, but you're guaranteed only the signing bonus and how many um, games you play. So if you bust your knee out in year 2 on a 5-year contract, that's it. So you better plan that money right. But a lot of these players are living just paycheck to paycheck. And the vast majority of those who win the lottery um, go bankrupt within a few years after. Let's call it 5. Um, I think the number is 70%, but it's just the vast majority of those who win the lottery. So just making money is not enough. Mindset matters. I've often said that if you give a homeless man $1 million and that's all you do, he or she will be broke within a year. If nothing changes here, your mind, nothing changes here, your heart and your soul, then nothing's going to change here in your hands and your pockets or your feet. You're going to walk right into a financial wall because if you don't know better, you can't do better. There's an old Southern saying, no matter how much I love you, my son or my daughter, if I don't have wisdom, I can only give you my own ignorance. So out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation and hurt people hurt people. Somebody can love you and give you horrible advice. Massive education. When you know better, you do better. You see books all around my study. If you're looking at my videos, you see me on CNBC or on any of the network TV, you see me in my home studio, books everywhere. I'm just passionate about learning. You don't want to hang around dumb people. Number 2, understanding the numbers, financial literacy. When you know better, you do better. I think financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. Get financial literacy for all and go to Opera for coaching and counseling. Number 3, family structure and resiliency. Nuclear families. One of the best way to build wealth is to get married and stay married. And if you're not sure you're going to get married, then try not to. You're not sure you're going to stay married, then try not to get married. Now, you could also get married and decide that that's not a good fit for you. And if this person is not helping you, if 2 plus 2 does not equal 6, 8, or 10, I don't advocate just staying there forever because it's going to embarrass your friends if you it's going to be embarrassing to your friends and your family if you break up. Forget all that. Who cares what somebody else thinks about your life? I told you, not 1 ounce of my self-esteem depends on your acceptance of me. Your life is your life. You got to love you. You have to have self-esteem, and you got to know what's going to help you build in your life. And if you made a mistake, fix it quick. Miss quick. Don't spend 20, 30, 40 years in regret. You're just going to age. A lot of disease is dis-ease. Mindset matter. Energy matters. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're absolutely right. Number 1, there's the 5 pillars of success in my book, Up From Nothing. Massive education. Number 2, understanding the numbers, financial literacy. Number 3, and how wealth creation, capitalism, free enterprise works. Number 3, family structure and resiliency. Number 4, self-esteem and confidence. Those 2 things are different. Self-esteem is how I esteem myself. If I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. If I don't love me, I don't expect me to love you. If I don't respect me, how can I respect you? If I don't have a purpose in my life, I'll make your life a living hell. Whatever goes around comes around. And hurt people hurt people. A lot of depressed folks running around here, a lot of toxic people, a lot of negative people. Takes a lot of muscles to frown, very few muscles to smile. Find somebody who's smiling. Because whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, as I keep saying, you're right. You hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. Mindset matters. Self esteem is how you esteem yourself. Confidence is based on competence. You can be competent about something, and because of that, you have confidence and still have low self esteem. There's somebody running for national office right now who has low self esteem. They're insecure, they're full of fear, they got power, money, and position in the world. Now, you guess who I'm talking about. I didn't say anybody's name. Role models. If you watch if you don't watch how you live your life, then you won't understand that that may be the only Bible anybody else reads. Watch how you live your life. It may be the only Bible that anybody else reads. People model what they see. Uh, Give folks something different and positive to see. The 3 mindsets. I believe this is from my book, The Memo, but I might have mentioned it also in Up From Nothing. The 3 mindsets. No, I did it. It was in Up From Nothing. A surviving mindset. If you got too much month at the end of your money, if you're depressed, if you're distressed, and I believe half this world is depressed, I believe 70, 80% of Black Americans, African Americans are clinically undiagnosed depressed. My people, because we went through slavery and Jim Crow, and people have been hating on us for almost 400 years. It's crazy. This country, this nation is two-thirds of our nation, our national history, maybe 3/4 of our national history is enslaved. 250 plus years of a 400-year old history. It deals with enslavement. And how can that not mess with your head? You're going to have PTSD. You're going to have depression. You're going to have identity issues. You're going to have self-esteem issues. You're going to have, maybe even self-hate issues. I don't know. I haven't. This is the only thing I cannot scientifically yet prove. I'm still looking at the data, but what I know from my observation, just dealing with our people, is that all Black is not the same. I'm doing a whole podcast just on this. Go for as a short version of this. Go to my Instagram feed and go look at the thing where I talk about jobs and income by ethnic group in America, and it'll blow you away. There's like 800,000 views of this on my and Charlemagne's pages, where you think white will be at the top. It's not. White's in the middle, and white's below Nigerian. Now African Americans at the bottom, literally at the bottom. And then, so how can it be that African Americans at the bottom, Black, poor whites in there toward the bottom, right? I think right next to, close to African Americans. Latinos are in there, so on and so forth. All right. But white Americans are right in the middle. And then above that are Nigerians who came to America. Okay, they're Black, right? And then you got Indians at the top. They're brown. So race is a factor, but race is not the only thing. Mindset is. And I'm gonna get all into this because I'm gonna do a whole podcast just on this. Is Black and Black the same? Right? And I'm gonna break it down. We're amazing people. We've been doing so much with so little for so long. We can almost do anything with nothing. We're amazing people. But surviving is not enough. And we have majored in a surviving mindset. We got red rooms all over the country, fighting police brutality, fighting racism, fighting discrimination. Yeah, but none of that fighting pays a bill, pays a mortgage, builds wealth. We need to have the red rooms in place, civil rights, and put some new green rooms in place, silver rights, access to capital, access to internships, apprenticeships, all right, our artificial intelligence opportunities, wealth creation opportunities, small business creation, entrepreneurship. We gotta get our higher education. Like we need green rooms that get us up the in and up the ladder to success. This is the aspiration generation. Can I get an amen? Surviving mindset. All right, let me get to the. I'm running out of time for this podcast. Surviving mindset. That's a lot of people experts in what they're against, and I like what I'm doing much better than what you're not doing. See, there you go. There's John Bryan again. I'm very consistent, right? And I don't. Again, I can choose to be negative. I just don't remember the last time I was, right? I can find a rainbow after most storms, or I can see a positive in most things. You can't even grow through it without legitimate suffering. That's biblical. And by the way, the Bible says in Proverbs, to be poor is not to not have anything. To be poor is not to not do anything. And lazy hands make a man poor. Can I get an amen? So then you have a thriving mindset. That's a middle class mindset. That's a getting mindset, getting access, getting a job, getting a career, getting a promotion, getting a vacation, getting getting accepted to a club and fraternity. It's all good. It's middle class. And then the third mindset is a building mindset. And builders are winners. Winners are builders. Builders are entrepreneurs like me. And we are crazy. We're nuts. We believe all things are possible. Okay. Well, we've come to the end of this situation. I think I dropped the mic a couple of times. I think we made the point that in order to be successful, you've got to not just have the money, not just have access to the capital, not just have a great idea, a great business, great hustle. You have to have the right mindset. I was at dinner last night with my wife, Shatra, and it was a late dinner. It was close to midnight because I had on a Saturday 2 speeches. And I could have complained about that and whined and moaned, or could say that, I've got high class problems and God gave me relevancy and a chance to make a difference, and just accept that and be thankful. So I went to my first speech and did that, and went to my second. That was for Van Jones on artificial intelligence here in Atlanta. I went to his AI Academy, went to this in Operation Hope, did that, help him with the AI Ethics Council, which is coming, by the way, my work with Sam Altman. Then I went to the second speech. I went to my office, worked a little bit, went changed clothes, tuxedo, went to the second speech on Saturday night for the Black Coffee Company, which I talked about earlier, and to encourage other investors to double down with them and encourage them. And so anyway, we went to a late dinner, and I'm sitting there waiting for my wife to come from the. She went to the restroom to wash her hands and whatever, and the powder room they call it. And this brother walks over to me, and I can see him on the other side of my eye, and I sort of know what this is now. He's about to approach me, which is all good. I don't mind. And he said, "Look, my guy, he did like uh, one of these celebrity things that where the rock star, the celebrity dude sends somebody else over with a message. It's crazy." So he says to my buddy over here has a finance company, black guy, all of them are black, and he wants to come talk business with you. Is that okay? I said, "Well, I'm sort of." So I wave at the dude, right, the other guy. I say hello to the guy in front of me. They're 5 feet from me. I wave at the other guy. He just sort of barely nods, like he's some rock star. Okay, whatever fumes you're on, whatever you tripping on, is your right. But I'm really unimpressed now. So I'm impressed with the dude who came over to me. He's very respectful. I said, "Look, I'm on a date with my wife. I hope you don't mind. I'm not interested in talking business right now." He said, "No problem. Much respect." And he goes over. Now, what the move would have been for the other guy is for him to get his lazy rear end up. Sorry, get his tail up. And because love is work, non-love is laziness, anti-love is evil. Evil exists, but it's very rare. Most people are just lazy, intellectually lazy, spiritually lazy, emotionally lazy, financially lazy. They want somebody else to do the work. He could have got up, said to his lady, "Excuse me, baby, I want to go say hello to him." Come over, shook my hand, looked me in the eye. "Hey, man, I heard what you said. All good. I should have come over myself to begin with. My bad. I respect you're out on a date, so are we. I just, whatever, respect your work, whatever. I hope we can catch up sometimes later." I would have said, "What's your name?" That would have been it. That would impress me. I would remember him, and maybe even had given him my information to connect with me later, or one of my, senior leaders in my office. But he missed that whole memo. He missed the opportunity, because what Ambassador Young said is so true. Men and women fail for 3 reasons: arrogance, pride, and greed. Mindset. It wasn't about whether he had a successful business or all that stuff, whether he's making money. I could care less whether he's making money. I don't want your money. I got my own. All right. All money is freedom. And I got the freedom to not be interested. Hello. But he wanted to cop an attitude because I wouldn't talk to him. So he didn't say anything to me for the rest of the evening. And I could care less. And when he got up, I just thought it was a test. When he got up, I thought he'd stop over. I hoped he would, for his sake, not mine. That he'd stop over and say, "Yo, man, blah, 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 blah," or, something. Nothing. He ignored me, walked out the door because I would not speak to him earlier. You're not hurting me, right? You hitting examples like that as you're hitting your face against my fist. And I'm not, I don't, I'm not trying to pick a fight emotionally, intellectually with anybody. I'm just saying that wasn't the right way to handle it. You won the battle and lost the war. I don't even know if you won the battle. I'm even not sure what the battle was. I was minding my own business, having dinner. You didn't hurt my feelings one little bit, but you didn't get my information. You didn't get my number. You didn't get my help. We're not going to do business. And I don't remember you. I don't even remember you. I remember the first guy. I will not remember the second, not in a positive way. Nobody owes you anything. Stop walking around entitled, like the story of the young lady I mentioned earlier in the trending topic, who her girlfriends thought that the boy owed him, the man owed her all expense paid. Anyway, go watch it. I don't want to repeat this. It frustrates me to even think about it. Okay, here's a fan question. This was a good podcast, wasn't it? It wasn't boring. Here's Purple Indian Woman. Purple Indian Woman from Instagram. Purple Indian Woman. What are the best options for my two children, my two daughters, to start saving and investing now, age 25 and 16? First of all, I'm glad you don't think it's too late at 25 to start investing, and 16 certainly is not too late. The answer to this question, Purple Indian Woman on Instagram, is the best option for your two daughters is now and with you. It's not about whether it's an index fund or this or stocks or real estate or fractional investing or Bitcoin or current cryptocurrency or whatever it is you want to do. Business, starting a business together. It's important that they do it with you. Get this book and read it with them. Have them have uh, assign chapters to them. Come back and have a family meeting about money because the lights don't come on by themselves. Have a discussion about this every week about money around financial literacy for all. I want to see that book dog-haired and beat up and the pages ripped and highlighted, right? And you want to start a conversation. Have dinner together. What a concept! Once again, once a week, and have a kitchen conversation about money. A kitchen top conversation once a week about money using the book as a discussion starter, and try to keep the spaghetti and the ribs off the rib juice off the book, and then let them see how you roll. Show them your 401k account. Show them your real estate portfolio. Show them your bills. Like, let them model what you do, because we model what we see. That's the most important thing you can do for your child, is to be the role model that they want to be, because that's who they see in the world. Uh, you want to find a good man? Yeah, I'm generalizing, but this is mostly true. And yes, there are exceptions to this rule, so don't pick a fight with me saying I know examples where this is not the case. I know you do. You want to find a good woman? Find a woman who's got a great relationship with her dad. You want to find a good man? Find a man who's got a good relationship with his mother. Though there are exceptions to these rules, but and you really want, when I talk to somebody and I'm looking at them, their eyes are clean and they're positive and they're looking at me. I can tell they had a mom and a dad, um, or I can tell they had a strong, ultra strong mom or an ultra strong dad that really grounded them and balanced out the fact that the other mate wasn't there. You really need mom and dad, but you can over index like my mother did. My dad did it when I was with him and when I moved for my mother to be with him, so give him credit. But my mother really was a grounding sense situation, and she was a single mother, just like 70% of all Black households. And she told me she loved me every day of my life, and I believed it. Um, so, look, you can survive, you can chill and still succeed, but why would you want to? Right? Why you don't want to survive, you want to thrive and you want to win. And stop saying these kids that you're a baby daddy and you're a baby mama, right? You're messing up these kids' heads, you're messing with their self-esteem. Say you're a mommy, you're their mother or their father, and you're proud of them. When they screw up, you say, I'm mad at you. I'm upset with you, you future lawyer, you future entrepreneur, you future business owner, you future engineer. I'm upset with you, and I'm going to hold you accountable. Now let's go to dinner. I'm going to hold you accountable, and here's your uh, penalty for screwing up. And make sure they, you know, kids need love and accountability, love and responsibility. You can't just let kids walk away from their own accountability. You end up with punks. You'll end up, with a mess on your hands. They need to learn the word no. You're not their best friend. You're their parent. Oh, don't let me get me started. This is a whole nother podcast. John Hope Bryant. This has been good. This has been saucy. Let me know what you think. Pass it on, share it with friends. Let's change the world. I want this whole network of podcasts to be something you can give to a new family, a new mother, a new father, somebody going to college, somebody entering high school, somebody starting a new career, somebody resetting their life, somebody who's sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it can be a university in your pocket and in your ear. I love you, John Hope Bryant. Get the book. Subscribe to the podcast through your friends, or tell your friends to subscribe. Go to Operation Hope, get the services, get your coaching scholarship, and change your life. Love and light. I'm out. And go get your black coffee. Tell them I sent you.